Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. I did something. I don't know what I did, but I did it good. And so they got some new features here, and I lost my music. You know, the music I do at the beginning, I lost that. I'm not sure what I did. I don't know if I can undo it. I don't know if I can. It's where all my music was and everything, and a bunch of videos that I had that I've been using. Um, I'm not sure what to do. I'll go back and see if I can fix it. And in the meantime, we'll go ahead and see. Wow, that's amazing. I've been using the same. I've been using the same collection for so long. Um, Dude, here, let's see what does this do. Hey, okay. I don't know what I did. I'm not sure how to fix it either. So I'm going to see if I could just do a new brand here and at least get this to where I'm able to. Wow, this is really weird. This is different. It's not what I'm used to. Overlay. Okay, this is what I. Let me see if I can do this. I might be able to do this. Um, I just want to look at, one of the verses in the Quran that most clearly says that Jesus is God. And you're thinking, how could that be? How could the Quran, which so often and so blasphemously denies the deity of Jesus Christ, how could they attest to the deity of Christ? Well, there is one verse in the Quran that does it more clearly than just about any other verse. I mean, there's many ways to deduce from the Quran that Jesus is God. Number one, he's sinless. Number two, excuse me, he is the Word of God. The Word of God meaning, and says that God created everything with his word, meaning that Jesus is the creator. It says he's the Spirit of God. The Quran says that he created, and the Quran very clearly says, and nobody creates except Allah. The way to tell the true gods from the false gods is their ability to create. The Quran is very clear about that. The way to tell a true God from a fake God is the ability to create. It says if you brought all the fake gods together, they could not create a fly, like a house fly. The word in Arabic is dubaba, which means like a fly or mosquito. It says he wouldn't be able to. Now, these fake gods. But the Quran then says that Jesus created. Two times at least, the Quran mentions that Jesus created a bird and he breathed into it. He gives life. He gives life. He's not just the creator, he's the life giver in the Quran. And he creates the same way Allah creates, only he does it faster and better, because he did it immediately. He breathed into the birds and they became birds. Whereas with Allah, when he created Adam, he created him from clay, the same way Jesus created the birds and breathed life into it. It says he breathed his spirit into it. And but it took a long time. It took like 40 days for Allah to create Adam. Adam had to tell Allah, would you please hurry up and finish me? because he was like half made and half not made, kind of weird. What do they call that? They actually have a name for that. What do they call it? Where someone is like half in a rock and then half himself. So I can't remember the name of it. It'll come to me. But so there's so many verses in the Quran that attest to the deity of Christ. Hello, daughter Galatians, how are you? Hello, RBB 8401, God bless you. Um, you guys, you know what, RBB, Americans are not, at least the older generation, we're not humongous soccer fans, not like the rest of the world, because the whole rest of the world is soccer. Everything is FIFA, everything is soccer outside of the US. In the US, we're learning. But I don't think we're learning. I don't think we're learning. Americans are very dedicated to American football. End of story. Soccer, that's great. Lots of people like it, and we appreciate it. Take our kids to play, and we're very much, like to play it, like to watch it, but it's not like it is in the rest of the world. And then I speak as someone my mother's from Brazil, the soccer universe. They had Pele and they had, uh, some of the best players. And that's true. That's true. Nah. You know what? I thought they were going to come to, weren't they going to come to Los Angeles? There was something about them coming to Los Angeles. But, and in the Middle East, in Europe, in Africa, all over the world, soccer is everything. In America, they're pretty faithfully American football. But I think this next generation is becoming a little bit more soccer friendly. But I don't think it's not gonna rise to the degree of like the World Cup will not be equal to the Super Bowl in America. But you know, I mean, they are taking more of an interest in it than they did before. So, so anyway, I wanted to just look at in this verse of the Quran that says that Jesus is God. It's a verse that, if you know the Arabic, okay, man, uh, I'll keep that. I will, especially if it comes to Los Angeles, there might be, because I did hear that they might be coming to Los Angeles. Something's happening in Los Angeles. I'm not sure exactly what. Okay. Now, I want you to ignore this. Ignore all of this because it is wrong. It is very wrong. And okay, let's go ahead and see this verse. And I've talked about it. It's been a long time since I talked about it. It says the first word in the Arabic is ittakhadu, which means they have taken ahbarahum, their rabbis, warahbanahum, their monks, arbaban. Arbaban is the plural of Rabb. Rabb meaning Lord, and in the Quran, Rabb means God. It's equal to God because you only use it about God. And so Arbaban is like they took their monks and rabbis as gods. Mindun, beside, because it's mindun like a preposition, and mindun without or in place of. Allah will miss the son of Mary. So they took them. This is the Arabic. The Arabic is they took their monks and rabbis as lords in place of Allah and Jesus, the Messiah. And so you say, wait a minute, are they? Because what happens here is that you have two It's criticizing the Jews and Christians here because ahbarahum they say is the rabbis, ruhban is monks. Okay, um, ahbarahum really isn't. It's kind of like experts, you know, but they translate it here as rabbis and monks. Ruhban is the word for monks in Arabic. Rahib, monk, the monk Buhaira. He was the monk Buhaira, but I don't think he stayed a monk. He backslid, but then he repented at the end. But anyway, Ruhban is the plural of Rahib, of monk, monks, plural of monk. Okay, Arbaben, they took their monks and rabbis as lords in place of Allah and Jesus. That's how the Arabic is. That's what the Arabic says. Now, when they translate it into English, they never translate it right. They never ever translate it right because this is saying that Jesus is God, equal to God. And so they never, let me just show you some different versions, how they translate it. Because I could show you that none of them are as extreme. I can't stand Mustafa Khattab. I don't know why they always put him. I don't want him to be my default. But let me just show you. But even the others, look how they translate it here. It says they taken their rabbis and monks as gods besides Allah, and they also have taken them. That's not what it says in the Arabic. They have taken their scholars and monks as lords besides Allah, and also the Messiah. It's not. It's not what the verse says. It's so bad. They took their monks and rabbis as lords as well as Christ. Nope, that's wrong. They, the Jews and Christians, took their rabbis as monks to be lords besides Allah by obeying them in everything, whatever. Okay. They also took as their Lord Messiah. Okay. That's not what it says. None of them are honest. They're all liars. They take their rabbis and monks for their lords apart from Allah and also the Messiah. But you know what they're, and it's funny when you see how they talk about it. What they'll say is that there's a dash, Messiha. There's a dash after, meaning that it goes back to that it has to be in the list with monks and rabbis. They try this grammatical witchcraft. All of them do it. All of them do it because they realize what this verse is saying, and so they have to get out of it. They have to get out of it because this is a disaster for Islam. This verse is a disaster for Islam. It's saying that Jesus is equal to God. This verse in the Quran is saying Jesus is equal to God. Okay? And so it's a disaster for Islam. It's a disaster for the Quran. And so the easiest way to deal with it is to lie. And that's what they do. All of these translations are lies. They take their monks and rabbis as lords apart from Allah and also the Messiah. Okay? They have taken their monks and rabbis as and the Messiah when they are been, okay, they have taken their priests and anchorites to be lords in derogation of Allah. They take as their Lord Christ. Okay. Yusuf Ali, Pickthall, Maududi, Halali Khan, Abdul Halim, Sahih International, Osmani, all of them are lies. They're all lies because they're afraid. This verse right here. They have taken their monks and rabbis as lords in place of Allah and Jesus. And they don't want to translate it correctly because this proclaims the deity of Jesus Christ. Okay? And so instead, they come up with all of these weird explanations and these weird translations, but almost always, they're just going to try to just change the Quran a little bit. Just change the Quran a little bit. They took their monks and rabbis and Jesus as lords in place of Allah. You see, all you got to do is just change the Quran, and you're allowed to do that. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to lie. Let me see. Let me see if I can find some. Let me see if I can find some Arabic. Takhadu. Takhadu. Autumn. Okay. See if I can find someone and see how they weasel their way out of this one. Okay, now it's in Arabic. Because the English, if we did it in English, it's so bad what they do in the English. So now this guy's always, I mean, I've used him a lot in the before when I need an Arabic translation. So let's just see what he says. He's got a big crowd, so let's hear what he says here.
وقوله اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم.
Okay, thank you for the music. Not allowed, it's haram.
أنهم اتخذوهم أربابا، والذي فسر هذا الحديث الوارد، والذي فسر أنه موافق
الآية.
نعم، هذا موافق لعنوان المؤلف تفسير التوحيد.
Okay, this is in agreement with the exegetes who talk about Tawheed. Okay.
أنهم اتخذوهم أربابا، والذي فسر هذا الحديث الوارد، وإن كان فيه من الضعف ما فيه، إلا إنه مشهور جدا أن عدي بن حاتم الطائي لما أسلم سمع رجلا يقرأ قول الله تبارك وتعالى اتخذوا أحبارهم.
Okay, so there's this guy named Hatim, and when he became a Muslim, he heard somebody quoting this verse.
أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم.
Okay, now this guy, he read it correctly in the Arabic, but he separated when he came to end Jesus Christ. Yeah, as if he's going to do the little Islamic shuffle.
فجاء عدي إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قال: يا رسول الله ما عبدناهم. يعني فهمني الآية.
So somebody came to Muhammad and said, help me understand this verse.
اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله. كيف اتخذناهم أربابا من دون الله؟ فقال له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: ألم يكن يحرم عليكم ما أحل الله فتحرموا.
And this is something that happens over and over and over again. Okay, and this is many of the scholars say this. Okay, and so this is an important point, and I know Christian Prince also often talks about this, that when it says they took their monks and rabbis as lords, what that means is that they took the advice and the teachings of their monks and rabbis that forbade things that Allah permitted and permitted things that Allah forbade. Okay, so that's how he's explaining the monks and rabbis. Let's see what he does to the fact that this is equating Jesus with God. See if he says anything about it besides the usual dribble.
ويحل لكم ما حرم الله فتحلونه. قال نعم. قال تلك عبادته. يعني جعلتموهم مشرعين.
Says you made them people who can legislate. You made your monks and rabbis those who can legislate.
مع الله كما قال الله.
With Allah.
تبارك وتعالى أم لهم شركاء شرعوا لهم من الدين ما لم يأذن به الله. فجعل تصدر الناس للتحليل والتحريم أنهم جعلوا أنفسهم آلهة مع الله تبارك وتعالى.
It's as if you're making them gods along with Allah, the monks and rabbis.
فهذا من تفسير التوحيد كما
This is Tawheed Tafsir.
ذكر المؤلف رحمه الله، وكما استدل المؤلف بهذه الآية في هذا المكان. والأحبار والرهبان قيل هم الأحبار علماء اليهود والرهبان عباد النصارى، وتطلق الأحبار على علماء النصارى أيضا، وتطلق الرهبان على عباد اليهود، لكن المشهور أن الأحبار علماء اليهود وأن
And then 14 times he's saying, okay, the rabbis are of the Jews and the monks are of the Christians. And he said it over and over and over and over and over again, and say nothing about the part about the Messiah.
الرهبان عباد النصارى. نعم.
He didn't say nothing about the. Let's see if this guy does.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إلا من القرآن الكريم على ألوهية المسيح المزعومة عليه الصلاة والسلام. سريع نرد فيه على أحد النصارى الذي
Says he's going to respond to one of the Christians
حاول أن يستدل من القرآن الكريم على ألوهية
who is trying to prove through the Quran, and we are not, believe me, we are not trying to prove that Jesus is God through the Quran. We could care less what the Quran says. We know Jesus is God from the true word of God, the Bible. But we're trying to show the Muslims that their book attests to the deity of Christ. So that's what he just said, that Christians are trying to trying to prove the deity of Christ through the Quran. That's absolutely not what we're trying to do. But that's his understanding. So.
ألوهية المسيح المزعومة
It says as if they made about the deity of Christ, the invented, the fake. Forgive me for saying that. That's what he says.
عليه الصلاة والسلام. طبعا هؤلاء النصارى لا يعرفون شيئا عن القرآن الكريم.
Of course, those Christians, they don't know nothing. They don't know nothing about the Quran, the unbelievably holy Quran.
ولا يعرفون شيئا عن اللغة العربية.
They don't know nothing about Arabic either.
ولا يعرفون شيئا أصلا حتى عن كتابهم.
They don't know nothing about their own books. So you gotta really, this guy, before he gets there, he's doing all of the insults of the Christians that he can, so he's totally trying to destroy Christians before he even gets into his great wise explanation.
والله المستعان. هذا النصراني يستدل بقوله سبحانه وتعالى عن النصارى اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا.
Okay, this is talking about the Christians. They took their monks and rabbis as lords in place of Allah and Jesus.
من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه عما يشركون. إذن في هذه الآية الله عز وجل يتحدث عن النصارى. طيب.
Okay, so in this verse, Allah is talking about the Christians.
أول آية إحنا نتكلم بالبلدي كده. أول الآية.
Let's just talk in colloquial Arabic.
بتقول إيه؟ اتخذوا.
It says they took.
مين هم اللي اتخذوا؟
Who took?
النصارى اتخذوا.
The Christians, even though he's really wrong, because this isn't just talking about the Christians, it's talking about the Jews and the Christians, monks and rabbis.
الفعل والواو الجماعة هي الفاعل وتعود على النصارى.
Okay, this what he's saying is wrong, but anyway, he's saying this goes back to the Christians.
اتخذوا أحبارهم.
They took their monks.
طيب أحبارهم هنا إعرابها إيه؟ مفعول به منصوب وعلامة نصبه الفتحة. ممتاز.
Okay, dude. Yeah, but yeah. Oh, okay, he took out he's not even quoting the whole thing. اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم. He's not even telling the part about the monks. This part is about the Jews. أحبارهم, they translate it as rabbis. Okay, but you see that little dash? They showed the little dash. The reason they're showing that is because they're going to come down here to when it says Masiha to say that the Masiha belongs up there on that list, not down here. But that's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. And another thing, which all of you guys know, these dashes and dots were not even used in the Quran. They added them later. So it wasn't even in the Quran originally. Okay, so they added them, and it's not on the preserved tablet. These dots and dashes are not on the preserved tablet, but the dots and dashes are what they're going to use to try to explain this away.
طيب رهبانهم طبعا معطوفة على أحبارهم، تبقى تيجي برضو منصوبة.
Okay, so he's using the dash again. That's his only escape here route, is that little dash. Okay. It's kind of funny watching him do this.
تمام. طيب اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا. أربابا هنا برضو جت منصوبة ليه؟ لأن دي مفعول به ثاني. كويس.
Okay, this is arbabin. It applies to two thani second. I'm not sure exactly how.
كده. طيب بعدها ايه؟ من حرف جر، دون اسم مجرور، مجرور بمن وعلامة جره الكسرة. تمام. طيب لفظ الجلالة مضاف إليه مجرور بالكسرة. صح.
Okay, so when it says Allah, it has the line underneath, Allahi. Okay.
كده. طيب طالما ان لفظ الجلاله مضاف اليه مجرور بالكسره، المفترض لو المسيح معطوفه على لفظ الجلاله المفترض تيجي ايه؟ تيجي هي كمان مكسوره، صح؟
Okay, he's saying that if Jesus belongs next to Allah the way it is in the Arabic, then instead of having the dash on top, you should have the dash on the bottom in order to be like the Allah, Allahi. Okay, over here. So he's just doing this little game that it doesn't work.
لكن كلمه المسيح جاءت مفتوحه، جاءت منصوبه. افتح كده المصحف هتلاقي ان حرف الحاء عليه فتحه. حرف الحاء في كلمه المسيح عليه فتحه، وحرف الهاء في كلمه الله تحتيه كسره. اذا كلمه المسيح مش معطوفه على لفظ الجلاله الله.
So they're saying that the word Christ here does not belong in the along the way it is written right here. Allah and the Christ and the Messiah. It says it doesn't belong like that because of this dash up here. And so and he's going to say it belongs with monks and rabbis rather than with Allah. But the problem is this is the way it's written. They're stuck with it. It's going to be a albatross around their neck until they finally acknowledge that this is about saying that Jesus is God. And it's kind of funny because it's after the most famous verse denying the deity of Christ in the Quran, which is the Jews and Christian. The Jews say Ezra is the son of Allah, and the Christians say Jesus is the son of Allah. Then it says they are cursed, and and then there's this verse which absolutely declares the deity of Christ.
صح ولا غلط؟ يبقى ازاي؟
غلط حبيبي، غلط انت غلطان.
النصراني يقول ان المسيح هنا معطوف على لفظ الجلال الله
And the Christian says that here it's saying that Jesus is equal to the glory of Allah.
يستدل بها على ألوهية المسيح.
And it testifies to the deity of Christ.
سبحان الله. مين اللي قال كده؟ طبعا
عشان مكتوب كده، عشان كده مكتوب كده، عشان هيك. مين قال لك هيك؟ عشان هي مكتوبة هيك يا عم. ما هي مكتوبة هيك. شو بدك تسوي؟ بدك تقول، بدك تألف القصص الكسرة والضمة وتشيل هالكلام الفاضي. هي مكتوبة هيك. وقبل في البداية لما كتبوا القرآن ما كانش فيه النكت، ما كانش فيه النكت أو الكسرة والضمة وفتحة وتشيل هالكلام، ما كانش فيه. أنت بتألف يا عم.
عن كل ده بسبب دجل المنصرين، عاملين يكذبوا على النصارى.
So all of this is because of the falsehood of the Christians.
ليل ونهار مطبقين
Night and day.
وصية بولس في روميا 3:7.
In Romans 12:7 فإنه إن كان صدق الله قد أزداد بكذبي لا مجد. He's quoting the Bible here. It says, so if فلماذا إذن إن بعد كخطأ. Let's look at what it says. I want to make sure I quote it correctly. Okay, Romans. Oops. I gotta change it to English. Romans 12. 7. Is it Romans? Yeah. No. What was the verse he said again? Arumia? If the Azdad be kid, if I can't remember what verse this is. If God, okay, Romans 3:7. It says, someone might argue, if my falsehood enhances God's truthfulness and so increases his glory, why am I still condemned as a sinner? Wow, this guy's really going to the pit here.
فإنه إن كان صدق الله قد ازداد بكذبي لمجده فلماذا أدان وأنا بعدك خاطئ. إذا كلمة المسيح ليست معطوفة على لفظ الجلالة ولكن معطوفة على الأحبار والرهبان.
And so he did all of that, my goodness, and he just to go back and say, so the word Messiah does not belong in the category, in the list with Allah, it belongs to the list with monks and rabbis.
اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم. حتى ابن المفترض هي بدل من إيه؟ من المسيح، صح؟ ولأنها بدل، البدل بيتبع المبدل منه، فهتلاقي كلمة ابن هتلاقي برضو النون عليها إيه؟ عليها فتحة.
And he's saying now that the word son, because it's Jesus, son of Mary, is the way they says it in the Quran. He's saying even the word son, which is ibn in Arabic, ibn, has the fatha on it. And so he's just going crazy with this fatha delusion.
إذن المسيح ابن مريم معطوف على إيه؟ على الأحبار والرهبان.
So this means that when it says Jesus, it goes back to the category of monks and rabbis. Dude, so pathetic, so pathetic.
إذن الآية ما فيهاش المعنى اللي النصارى عايزين يقولوه.
So it doesn't have the meaning that the Christians are trying to apply to it, even though it very clearly does. And you're stuck with it, my friend. Your explanation is, Muslims who don't really care or who are just desperate for something because they realize what this verse is saying. They're desperate for something to hold on to. They'll hold on to this. They'll take this kasra, fatha, and all this, even though those were not in the original Quran. They added them later, 100 years later or so. So everything he's saying is meaningless.
زائد إن آخر الآية يبطل هذا المعنى. شوف الآية بتقول إيه؟ وما أمروا.
And so now he's going to the end and says that they were commanded to worship one God, which we do.
إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا.
He's saying, see, they were commanded to worship one God. We Christians worship one God long before there was a man named Muhammad.
أنتوا إزاي خليتوهم اتنين؟
And he says, how did you guys make him two? Your book, your Quran. Here, my friend, your Quran is making them two.
أنتوا كده برضو مشركين. لو
He says, you see, you guys are pagans. You guys are idolaters.
إن المسيح إله مع الله، أنت
You say Jesus is God with Allah.
كده إنسان مشرك، لأن الإله
You are a idolater.
إله إيه؟ واحد سبحانه وتعالى. وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا إلها واحدا لا إله إلا هو سبحانه عما يشركون. شوف الآية كلها توحيد. طيب.
See, the whole verse is tawheed. Yeah, but if we really want to, get technical, we could go ahead and agree with him and say, it's tawheed, because tawheed does not mean one. Tawheed means unification. So it's talking about more than one person. And this verse very clearly shows that. And you guys are wondering, now then why is this crazy verse in the Quran? Why is this verse that drives the Muslims batty, like this guy right here, drives them batty? Why is it in the Quran? I believe you guys. Okay, now this was the last surah that was supposedly Muhammad wrote. Okay, this was the last surah. Okay, is chapter 9. I think his dad, the monk Buhaira, see Buhaira Rahban, the Rahib, his father, the monk Buhaira, when he repented, he tried to put secret messages in the Quran that is going to just drive the Muslims like, what does this mean? And hopefully set them free from the lie of Islam to see the truth. And
هنا يجي السؤال: لماذا فصل الله سبحانه وتعالى بين المسيح وما بين الأحبار والرهبان، طالما أن المسيح كلمة المسيح معطوفة على الأحبار والرهبان؟
he says, well, so this leaves the question, why did Allah write it like this, where he puts Jesus with Allah instead of putting him with the monks and rabbis? He's asking that question.
لأن الآية بتتكلم عن فريقين، بتتكلم
Because this verse talks about two categories, two teams,
عن نوعين،
two kinds.
نوع فيه الكفر ونوع فيه
One part that has unbelievers, infidels.
الإيمان.
One has faith, one has unbelief.
خلاص، النوع اللي فيه الكفر اللي هو إيه؟ الأحبار والرهبان.
The ones who are disbelievers are the monks and rabbis.
ليه؟ لأن هم دول اللي سولوا للناس أن يعبدوا المسيح.
Because they're the ones who told people to worship Jesus.
وهم دول اللي بياكلوا أموال الناس بالباطل
And they eat people's money. They eat people's money. They take people's money, unlike
إلى آخره. فالمسيح عليه الصلاة والسلام طاهر، وما ينفعش
And Jesus, he's pure.
المسيح هذا النبي العظيم
It's not right that this great prophet
طاهر يوضع في كفة هؤلاء
is in the same list with these money-making fraudsters.
حتى وإن كان معطوفا عليهم.
Even though this is talking about how he's one of them.
في حكم الاتخاذ الربوبية.
But in terms of taking of deity.
هو الآية قالت إن النصارى اتخذوا المسيح ربا مع الله سبحانه وتعالى، أو من دون الله سبحانه وتعالى، هو والرهبان والأحبار. تمام؟
No مش تمام انت يعني انت بتألف من راسك، انت بتألف مش تمام. He's saying Jesus belongs with the monks and rabbis. Okay? In Arabic I said, no, it's not okay. You're making stuff up from your head, man.
لكن في نفس الوقت كان لازم يتم الفصل ما بين المسيح عليه الصلاة والسلام وما بين الأحبار والرهبان، لأن المسيح لم يقل ما قالته الأحبار والرهبان.
He says, but there still needs to be a division because the monks and rabbis are corrupt and you don't want to have Jesus in the same list with them. Give me a break, man. It's terrible lie.
لا، المسيح جاء بدعوة التوحيد، والأحبار والرهبان مشركون بالله سبحانه.
And so Jesus came with the teaching of monotheism, and the monks and rabbis were teaching people to worship other gods. So anyway, this guy, he's doing exactly what they do. He's doing exactly what they do. And, you've seen, so he's stuck. Islam is stuck because of this verse. Islam is stuck in a corner. They can't do nothing. So they got to come up with some explanation. So we'll add a dash here, a dot there. But the thing is the original Quran didn't have any of those dashes, of those vowels, or those diacritical marks. The original did not have any of it. Everything he's saying is made up. Everything he's saying doesn't mean a thing, because none of those diacritical marks or vowels were in the original.
فازاي المسيح يوضع معهم في نفس الكفة؟ فالآية تتكلم عن فريقين، فريق الإيمان وفريق الكفر.
So he came up with this new explanation. There's two groups. There's the group that has faith and the group that is infidel, unbelief. And so the monks and rabbis are unbelievers. Allah and Jesus are believers. And so they belong in a group together, rather than the way it's written, which says that Jesus is God.
فريق الكفر يمثله هؤلاء الأحبار والرهبان، وفريق الإيمان يمثله المسيح عليه الصلاة والسلام.
من وين جبتها هذه؟
فرق الله سبحانه وتعالى في هذه الآية بين المسيح وبين الأحبار والرهبان، لأن القضية والرسالة التي جاء بها المسيح وكان يدعو إليها تختلف تماما عن القضية والرسالة التي يدعو إليها هؤلاء القساوسة.
And because the message of the pastors and all those Christians is different from the message of Jesus, that Allah puts the split between them in the verse. It's pathetic beyond words. It's pathetic. He made this up in his head. And
الرهبان والأحبار كويس؟
no, مش كويس حبيبي، مش كويس، ليس كويس، مش كويس. تشريحك فاشل، فاشل للآخر، عشان الكلام واضح. اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح. الله والمسيح هم الأرباب. هيك مكتوب. انت بدك تألف هالقصص وتلف وتدور.
ممتازة كده، سهلة.
لا مش ممتاز ومش سهل، انت بتألف.
طيب ليه النصراني
طيب
بيعمل كده؟
عشان هي مكتوب هيك. ليش النصارى بيعملوا هيك؟ عشان هي مكتوب هيك. ليش انت بتألف وبتلف وبتدور وبتخدع الناس؟
شيء مؤسف والله، شيء مؤسف. النصراني
المؤسف اللي بتعمله انت.
مش لاقي في كتابه أي دليل على ألوهية المسيح.
He's saying Christians can't find any proof for the deity of Christ in their book.
فرايح يستدل من القرآن الكريم.
So they want to find proof in the Quran. This guy's funnier than I thought, man. This guy's a joke bigger than I thought, man. He's saying they can't find proof to the deity of Christ in their book, so they come look for it in the Quran. We don't believe in your Quran. We don't want your Quran. Okay? It's for your sake. And the fact that you do have this issue, you have this problem. You have this problem that your book says that Jesus is God. That's a problem for you. We could care less what your book says, but we care about you. We want you to know the truth. And your Quran says, it says that Jesus is God. Deal with it, man. Just accept it.
يعني واحد بيدور في كتابه ما لقاش دليل على الإيمان اللي هو مؤمن بيه.
So this person, he says, the Christians look in their book and they can't find proof of the thing that they believe in. They can't find the proof that Jesus is God. Forget, John 1:1 says in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. Forget John chapter 5:18 that the Jews sought to kill him because he made himself equal with God. Or John chapter 10 where the Jews took up stones to stone him and he asked them, for what? For which good work do you want to stone me? They say, not for a good work, but because you, a man, make yourself God. Or in chapter 20, where Thomas fell before him and said to him, my Lord and my God. Or in Revelation chapter 21, where Jesus says, I will be their God. Our book is full of the deity of Christ. We don't want your book, but we want you to be saved. احنا مش محتاجين كتابك. احنا عندنا لاهوت المسيح. في يوحنا 1:1 بتقول في البدء كان الكلمة والكلمة كان عند الله وكان الكلمة الله. الكلمة هو المسيح زي ما هو مكتوب في القرآن. وبعدين بتشوف في يوحنا إصحاح 5 مكتوب إن اليهود كانوا بدهم يقتلوا المسيح. ليش؟ معادلا نفسه مع الله، عشان هو بيقول عن نفسه إنه هو معادلا نفسه مع الله. وفي يوحنا 10 مكتوب كان اليهود بدهم يقتلوه كمان مرة. هو قال ليش بدكم تقتلوني؟ على أي معجزة بدكم تقتلوني؟ وقال لأنك أنت رجل بتقول عن نفسك الله. ولما قام من الموت تلميذه توماس أجاب وقال يا ربي وإلهي. الكتاب المقدس وفي سفر الرؤيا 20:21 مكتوب المسيح بيقول أنا سأكون إلههم. عشان احنا كتابنا مليان لاهوت المسيح، مش سائلين، بدناش إشي من القرآن، مش محتاجين إشي من القرآن، لكن من أجل نفسك نريد خلاصك أنت. عشان هيك زي ما هو هيك يعني أنت كثير منفعل عشان هذا الموضوع، مش عشان المسيحية، لكن عشان القرآن نفسه بتقول لك إنه المسيح هو الله. بتقول هيك، يلا deal with it.
طب نروح ندور على ألوهية المسيح فين؟ في القرآن اللي هو أصلا بيكفر بيه.
Okay, so where does he look for the deity of Christ? In the Quran that he disbelieves in.
أنت أصلا بتكفر بالقرآن.
Everything you said is wrong. كل اللي قلته أنت غلط، أنت غلطان.
طيب هيقول لك ايه؟ طب انا بستدل بالقران عشان انت مسلم، فانا احاججك بالكتاب اللي انت تؤمن بيه. ايوه ماشي، اتفقنا، خلاص اتفقنا على الحته دي.
Says I challenge you by the book that you believe in.
لكن مين اللي قال ان القران فيه ادله على الوهيه المسيح؟
But where do you see that the Quran says that the deity of Christ? I told you right there. You read it, and it says it perfectly. And I think in your heart of hearts you know it's true. That's why you're so agitated about it.
ده القران قالها بصريح العباره في سوره المائده.
The Quran says it in another verse, another verse of the Quran, chapter 5.
القران بيقول لقد كفر الذين قالوا ان الله هو المسيح ابن مريم.
It says they disbelieved who said that Allah is Jesus, the son of Mary. So he's having to go to another verse because he can't deal with this one.
يدل على الوهيه المسيح. ده القران بيقول ان انت لو قلت ان المسيح هو الله تبقى كافر.
The Quran says if you say Allah is Jesus, you're a kafir, you're an infidel.
يبقى تقول لي ان القران بيقول.
You know what, man? You're absolutely right. The Quran says that. I totally agree with you about that. You're absolutely right. The Quran says that. But the Quran also says that Jesus is God in chapter 9:31 because it's a book of contradictions. It's, Tamar Hindi, like Father Zechariah says, it's, tomatoes, nuts, and coconuts, and yeah, anyway.
قول ان المسيح هو الله، بلاش جهل، ده جهل، ده شغل تحشيش.
This is ignorance. You say Jesus is God in the Quran? That's absolute ignorance.
لو الكلام ده ممكن يطلع من واحد محشش.
You say this is someone who may be smoking hashish. I wonder what he does. I wonder if he hangs out with the Warner.
واحد قاعد كده وزود شويه العيار فهربت منه فبدا يهرتل بالكلام ده.
ممكن. Someone maybe sitting around smoking some hashish, and then his mind is gone.
ممكن ده يحصل. لكن انت تطلع تقول ان القرآن بيدل على ألوهية المسيح.
And to say the Quran attests to the deity of Christ.
ده كلام فارغ.
This is empty words, but it does. The problem for you is that it's there. You can't get rid of it. It's there. It says that Jesus is God in the Quran, in the Arabic that you know. You know why, you guys? Is that the Arabs are more irritated by this verse than others. Why? Because all the others got the corrupted translation. He's got the real Arabic translation. So he knows what the Arabic says. That's why he's so irritated by this. Okay? Because he knows what the Arabic says. The American Qur'ans, the CNN Qur'an and the New York Times Qur'an and the Barack Obama, the BO version, you can learn a lot about a person from their initials. From Barack Obama, his initials are BO. Barbara Streisand, her initials are BS. Bernie Sanders, his initials are BS. And anyway, that's free. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
القرآن بيقول إن اللي يقول إن المسيح هو الله ده يبقى كافر.
The Quran says whoever says Jesus is God is a kafir.
القرآن بيقول لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة.
And they're disbelievers who say that Allah is a third of three.
إذا أي حد يقول إن ربنا مثلث الأقانيم، أي بقى ثالوث، أي ثالوث، أي
Any Trinity.
حد بيعتقد بيه، لو أنت قلت بالعقيدة دي برضه القرآن بيقول عنك كافر.
And the Quran says you're a kafir.
والقرآن بيقول إن اللي يقول.
And the Quran says a lot of things that this guy doesn't believe. And he says a lot of things that are about the Quran that are not in the Quran. He's making it up, man. He's adding and taking away.
إن المسيح ابن الله برضه يبقى كافر ويبقى وثني.
And whoever says Jesus is the Son of God, he's a disbeliever and an idolater.
وقالت النصارى المسيح ابن الله ذلك قولهم بأفواههم يضاهئون قول الذين كفروا من قبل. مين الذين كفروا دول؟ الأمم الوثنية، هم دول اللي ادعوا إن ربنا له ابن وهذا الابن ينزل ويتجسد ويموت من أجل خلاص البشرية. دي عقيدة وثنية. القرآن بقى بيقول أنت لو قلت كده.
He says that, I think he watched the video, that crazy video that it was a lot of people were watching it when it came out. It's so pathetic. It's so dumb. But a lot of people were watching it. It was in the late 90s, 2009, I think it came out. It was called The Zeitgeist. The Zeitgeist, it says Osiris died and came back to life. It's so pathetic. It's so dumb. And I think he must have watched it, because it was an attack on the cross. And so that's what he's talking about.
شوف ربنا بيقول ايه؟ يضاهئون يعني يماثلون ويشابهون يضاهئون قول الذين كفروا من قبل قاتلهم الله أن يؤفكون.
Okay, he's just wasting time now. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to show you that this is a big deal, and he's an Arabic speaker. He's an Arabic speaker, so he knows what it says. Because he knows what it says, it's irritating the heck out of him. Is there something I didn't translate? I thought I translated the whole thing for you. I'm sorry. There are some parts where he's just, talking empty words, and I didn't translate every single word. But, I got the gist of what he's saying. But you guys, let me just show you a couple of things. You know what? We're at 52 minutes already, so I'm not sure if I'm going to get too much into it. Let me see. Maybe I get a couple of things here. Some of the top scholars of Islam. Let me just let me see, which one should I go first? Baidawi. Now, these are not like the more famous ones that you hear about. You usually hear about Ibn Kathir, Jalalain. Those are the real famous ones, and they'd be translated into English. Now, these have not been translated into English, but I translated some of it. It says, taking them as lords meant obeying them when they commanded acts of disobedience declared lawful by what Allah had forbidden, and declared forbidden what Allah had made lawful, just as lords are obeyed in their commands. Now, Christian Prince talks about this quite a bit. I think that's a very important point. It's important to remember that when they say they make them lords, just because, and one of the reasons why this is so important is because this is exactly what the Muslims do. They take their sheikhs and imams as lords, like this guy, instead of what's written in the Quran. They see what's written in the Quran that says that Jesus is God, but they don't listen to all. They take what their sheikh and imams tell them. They took their sheikh and imams as lords in place of Allah because they listen to him rather than what they see with their eyes. Okay, and this one's in Arabic. Okay, okay. For the phrase, the Messiah, the Son of Mary, meaning is that they took their monks and rabbis and the Messiah, Son of Mary. Okay, see what he did there? He put Jesus in the list with the monks and rabbis as Lord. Regardless, the phrase, and they were commanded to, whatever. Monks and rabbis and the Messiah as lords. He totally, you guys see how they take their sheikhs and imams and scholars as lords in place of Allah. Because they're not, they know what especially if they're Arab, because the Arabs know what it says. You can't really blame those that don't know the Arabic because they're getting false translations All of them are false. All of them are false on this verse. Okay, all of them are false. But the Arabic speakers, they know what it's saying, and they get mad, they get irritated, and they want to take it out on the Christians. They want to take it out on the Christians because it's in their book and they don't know what to do with it. They come up with these crazy explanations like this guy did. So, okay. They have taken their rabbis and monks as lords besides Allah by obeying what is forbidden, da, 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 whatever. And that is neither those who took them as lords. Okay, but I want to see what does it talk about Jesus. Hmm. Now this is Beidawi, totally avoided Jesus. This is Al-Baghawi. Rahban, monks who dwell in hermitages, is asked, did they actually worship the scholars and monks like Muslims worship their sheikhs and imams? Yes. We replied, the meaning is that they obeyed them in acts in disobedience to Allah, whatever. And then he has this little story. Uh, Adi bin Hatim said, I came to the messenger of Allah wearing a gold cross around my neck. So people used to wear gold crosses back then, you guys. He said to me, oh, Adi, cast that idol off your neck. Muhammad said that. That's why he's in hell. So I cast it aside. Then I approached him while he was reciting. They took their scholars and monks as lords besides Allah until he finished the verse. Says, we do not worship them. He asked, do they not forbid what Allah has made lawful and make lawful what Allah has forbidden? He said, yes, that is worshiping them. So here Muhammad is saying that you worship by forbidding what is okay. But let's go down to the end because he does mention Jesus here. And the Messiah, son of Mary, meaning they took him as a God and they were not commanded. Okay. Now here, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the Arabic. He's totally adding to the Quran. Even the highly respected Al-Baghawi, and I think he's the one who was the teacher of Al-Baghawi. I think he was the teacher of Asim, who was the teacher of Hafs. I think I heard Christian Prince mention this the other day. So, but anyway, this one has some interesting things. It has the gold cross story, and it has the you see, this guy's taking a different approach. Rather than saying that Jesus belongs with the monks and rabbis, he's just saying, he's adding some words saying they made him a god about Jesus. But it doesn't say that. In the verse, it doesn't say that. They're adding to their own book because Muslims worship their imams and scholars in place of Allah. And so, yeah. Okay. They took their monks and rabbis. This is Shokani. He's also and Christian ascetics by following them and declaring lawful whatever. The Messiah, son of Mary, and also Messiah, the son of Mary, while they were not commanded to, except to worship one God. There's no deity. Okay, so doesn't really say anything different. This is Feiruz. Okay, and the Messiah. They took the Messiah, son of Mary, while they acknowledged the oneness. There's no deity except Him. He declared Himself far above from what they associate with Him. Extinguished the light of Allah. So much light with their tongues, but Allah refuses. Whatever. Okay, so doesn't really say anything different about Jesus here. Asyuti doesn't say anything either. He took their monks and rabbis. Asyuti is very, Jalalain. Asyuti is one of the Jalals. Jalalain means two Jalals. One of them is Asyuti. He's the guy who came up with this. Forbidden. And also the son of Mary. Okay. All right. So those are some of the scholars and some of the stuff they said. All right. Well, thank you guys. Yeah, Joe Biden. You know what? I interviewed, when Joe Biden said that hadith, he said, the Holy Quran. Obama's the one that used to say, the Holy Quran. That's how Obama always said it. But Biden, he was quoting a hadith. He said, "The Holy Prophet said, if you see somebody doing evil, then resist uh, with your words, and if you can't resist then resist with your heart, or then resist with your hand." Okay, so he was calling to jihad. Yay! Joe Biden was calling for jihad in America. The guy, but I interviewed Robert Spencer that day, and I asked him about that. He says, "What do you think of Biden's hadith knowledge?" And Robert Spencer says, um, he said, Joe Biden doesn't know hadith from his left shoe. I never forgot that. I thought that was funny. All right, you guys. Well, we made it to an hour. Wow. Didn't think I'd make it. So, all right, you guys. Thank you for being with us. And if you haven't done it, is there any Muslim who would like to come on? If there's any Muslim who'd like to come on, I know I went to the mosque today, and nobody. This one kid wanted to talk to me until I said something about the death of Christ, and then he ran away. But if there's any Muslims here who are brave and who want to come up, here's the link. You can come up, but you have to do it fast. If you want, here it is. Okay, I don't know if anybody's going to come up. Okay, doesn't look like anybody's coming up, so we'll go ahead and call it a night then. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Yeshua, Jesus, help me. He is the Son of repent. Repent again. I can't hear it, so I don't know what's happening there. So, all right, you guys, be blessed. Have a good night. Thank you for being here.